How are we, Reds? The Reds are on holiday, but we at Reds Down Under are still here. This is the weekly show. I'm Tom. I've been in Australia for 6 years and I'm living the dream in Sydney. Thank you so much to everyone who's followed the journey so far. We ticked over 1,000 listeners on our last episode, and our aim is to hit 5,000, because if we hit 5,000 it means that we're giving a nice home for 5,000 Reds over here who can support the Reds, who are miles away from home or miles away from Liverpool for sure. Thanks to Redboat Ventures, who have been a big supporter of the podcast so far. They've been really amazing. They do live action, they do video. If you need a video for your business, have a look at Redboat Ventures. And if you are interested in how software using AI can help your business save time and money, have a look at Redboat. This week I've got a great guest on. Ged is a member of the supporters club up in Brisbane for the Queensland club. But he's actually a Scouser. He's been here a long time now, and he was at the trophy parade. He was at the trophy lift for that Crystal Palace win, and he's just got loads of great stories about the Reds, and it's a really good listen actually. So I hope you enjoy it. This is the weekly show. I'm Tom. This is Reds Down Under. Enjoy.
This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
Hello to everyone at home, on the train, on the plane, on the ferry, wherever you are. This is Reds Down Under. I'm Tom. I've been in Australia for 6 years, 6 glorious years, and I'm from Liverpool. And this podcast is called The Weekly Show, and we talk about everything that's happening in the news with the mighty Reds over here in Australia. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Ged from Queensland. Mate, how's it going? Welcome to Reds Down Under.
Great, mate. Yeah, lovely to be on. It's my first time as a podcaster as a guest, so I hope you're going to be gentle with me, mate.
I'll be gentle with you, Ged. Don't you worry. I'll caress you into this podcast, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I like the sound of it.
So since we've done the podcast, really, it's been a while, but I think since then we've been chatting, Ged, haven't we, on and off about you coming on. So your accent is obviously not Australian. So where are you from originally?
Well, I was born in the Toxteth Dingle, and so that's where I grew up. And my time supporting a Red has been since the 60s. So my first recollection of being a Red supporter is wearing one of the old-fashioned red shirts with the white collar and the white cuffs. That although in those days they used to turn a nice pink shade after you'd washed them. They never stayed white long enough, and they weren't the nice light material that you get these days. It was the old-fashioned material. So that must have been when I was about 6 or 7. So that's kind of late 60s. And my first recollection ever of a Liverpool game was the 71 Cup final against Arsenal. Watching it on the TV, I think it was in colour. I might be wrong, but I think it was in colour. And the Charlie George goal, do you remember that one?
Bit before my time. I know some listeners might remember it, but I don't remember the Charlie George goal, to be honest with you.
Well, 1971 it was. Bill Shankly was still the manager, and we were winning 1-0 in extra time. But Arsenal scored 2 goals. The second one was Charlie George, and it was an iconic goal for the Arsenal supporters. And I remember being devastated. But we were back at Wembley 3 years later, 74. Do you remember that one? The Newcastle game where we annihilated them 3-0. Keegan and Soshak scoring. No, Keegan and Highway actually.
Was either of those games the one where Shankly gave the big speech outside of St George's Hall in Liverpool?
I think that might have been the 65 final. Possibly.
65.
Yeah, that I don't recall. I would have only been 4 at the time, so I don't recall that one. But the '74 game was the one where Malcolm MacDonald was the number 9, and he was mouthing off how he was going to annihilate us at Wembley, and Tommy Smith just had him in his pocket. He didn't get a look in that day, and Keegan played a magnificent game. He scored 2 goals. Highway scored the other, and that was where the commentator David Coleman, he was like the Peter Drury of his day. He was great at how he commentated, and he announced it as Newcastle have been undressed by Liverpool. When we were winning, we beat them 3-0, and he just said, yeah, Liverpool have just undressed Newcastle, and that sort of always stuck in my mind. He was great for his sayings, was David Coleman. So that one went down in history.
It's a nicer way of saying that we had their pants down.
That's it. That's what it probably turned into later on. We pulled their pants down and smacked their asses. But yeah, so that was '74.
So I mean, because later we'll talk about that trophy parade, because obviously and the trophy lift, because you were in Anfield for it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, and I'm sure everyone will be looking forward to that. At the moment, this is a period of success, and that was a real period of success, wasn't it? Growing up at that time, was it just were you just so used to winning the lot all the time in that period?
It was still early days. If you remember, just after that final, Shankly, quite completely out of the blue, he resigned, and everybody was devastated. People were crying in the streets. Shankly, we just won the FA Cup, smashed Newcastle, and a couple of weeks later, Shankly was gone, and it was a case of, well, geez, we're just getting going, and now we've got to find a new manager. We've got to look to the future. How's Liverpool going to respond? And of course, Paisley was the reluctant successor. He took over. And within 2 years, he got himself a double. He won the league and the UEFA Cup in '76. And in fact, that was the season when I first went to Anfield for a European game. That season, '76. So yeah, it was the start of what was the glory period of the '70s for Liverpool. Up until then, we were done okay. But as soon as Paisley took over, he just beat everybody, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Paisley said, didn't he, that Shankly built the house, but he just put the roof on.
He put the roof on. That's right. Yeah.
So last year, right, Jed, I was sitting there and I get a text message off my mum, and she said, Klopp's leaving. And I nearly died, right?
Yeah. Same
obviously.
thing. Yeah.
So how would you compare those two moments? Shankly saying that he was leaving, and Paisley saying, and Kloppo saying that he was leaving.
It's almost a mirror image, isn't it? We were used to Klopp and his ways, and he seemed to be building Klopp 2.0, as they called it. He just recruited a new midfield, McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai, and just getting into the new season, doing okay, and he decides that he's had enough. That news came out in January, didn't it? And Liverpool were going for a quadruple at the time. And at the time, back in the '74, it was the same with Shankly. We were just about starting a new era, a new glory era, and Shankly had decided out of the blue he'd had enough. He was only a young guy, I think, in management terms. I think he was only about 56 or something. So he wasn't an old manager. So yeah, there's quite a big parallel between Shankly in the '70s and Klopp in 2024.
And I mean, we'll talk a little bit later as well about legends, because I seen on your social media that you were quite lucky to meet a proper legend the other day. But we were talking of Klopp. We were talking about when you met him in Sydney. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Okay, right. Yeah, that was last November. I was scrolling through Facebook as you do, and I'd seen a post by a couple of Liverpool supporters from up in Darwin, northern Australia, and they'd seen Klopp in a bar in Darwin. And it was a nice story actually. They were just sitting there, and they had their Liverpool shirts on apparently. And Klopp walked into the bar, and he saw them, and he just came across, and he said to them, "How are you doing, lads?" He said, "If you don't mind, I'm just going to have lunch with my wife, but when we finished, would you mind if I come over and we'll have a chat?" And they went, "Of course," They just couldn't believe
Yeah,
how,
no problem.
yeah,
No problem, Klopp.
100%.
Anything you want, mate.
So yeah, he had his lunch with his wife, and he came over. He had a few beers, and they took some photos, and they put them on Facebook. And I was reading it, and I was really interested. So Klopp's in Australia, what's happening? So from what I'd read, he was on a cruise, and he'd said to the lads that he'd met, he was going round Australia on this cruise. So I thought, oh, that's a bit interesting. I wouldn't mind understanding where is he going in Australia. So I got on this Cruise Mapper website and had a look at what ships were in Darwin port at the time, and there was two, and one of them had come from Bali, and it was actually a German registered cruise ship. I thought, oh, that's interesting. It's either
That's
one
looking favourable, isn't
but
it?
this one's
On the
looking
Klopp
favourable.
pod.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I traced where it was going to be going, and so it was coming down the east coast. It was going to go to Cairns and Early Beach, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. So I got on Facebook as you do, and I saw it on the Supporters Club page, and I thought, right, I'm gonna tell the fans that Klopp's in town on these dates. Get yourself down there, because he's retired now. I'm sure he's going to be happy to see some Liverpool supporters.
Some mates.
So yeah, this sort of started to take off a bit, and I kind of followed his route, and then people went along to Cairns and Early Beach, and just sort of groups of 6 or 8 people were turning up at the port when he came in. Based on the information I'd given them on Facebook, and they were having photos taken with them, and they were posting these photos. So I was kind of keeping it going, and I worked out that he was ultimately he was going to be in Sydney on the day that I was going to be due in Sydney. So I thought, right, okay, I'm gonna be one of these fans that's going to meet Klopp. I'm going to get down there. So I went along to Sydney Port at the day he was coming in, and I got there early because I thought there might be a few fans down there. But as it happened, there was only me and one other guy from Queensland, David Mulders. He came down as well, and we worked out that it was definitely Klopp on board, because there was the driver outside. He was waiting for him, because what he was doing was he was coming to each port. He was spending a day in that particular area doing all the touristy things, and then getting back on board and going to the next port. So he's basically doing a port a day in Australia. So this was our day. We're waiting. Klopp comes off the ship with him and his wife. There's not a lot of people around. It's quite a small ship, and we had our Liverpool tops on. Me and David, and Klopp spots us, and his smile just lit up the room. He's got this huge teeth, his mouth of teeth, and he looked at us and he smiled, and he came over towards us and he said, "How are you doing?" And we had a lovely chatted about what he'd been up to in Australia and where he was going and what his plans for the day were, and he did all his signing for us. We had a few things signed. And the other guy that was there, David, that was with me, he had a son back up in. He was from Brisbane. He had a son living in Brisbane, and he said, "My son's never gonna believe what I'm doing right now." And he said, "Well, where's your son?" He said he's getting ready for school up in Brisbane. And Klopp said, well, get him on the phone. I'll have a chat with him. So
Great.
Klopp
Love it.
FaceTimed this young lad while he was getting ready for school, and he just made his day. So what a lovely fella he was. He's got an aura about him as Klopp. You can understand why he was so revered. He's just that sort of down to earth guy, but just something about him just oozed class, you know. And he's got the biggest smile. I just couldn't stop looking at his teeth, the perfect set of teeth, and he's always smiling, and it was just a lovely moment. Anyway, I put some photos on Facebook, and the biggest thing ever, I put it on our supporters club page. We have 3,000 followers. The post I put on it's almost got 1 million views. It's an amazing amount of shares that it's provided since I put it up back in November. So yeah, I
could only hope for that much coverage.
Exactly. I don't know how I did it. I just put a few photos up. I mentioned Klopp's name, and I put it on the supporters club page, and before you know it, click, 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 click. It was up 800,000.
I probably seen it. Because I remember he was doing the bridge walk, wasn't he? He
Correct.
put a photo, because I think he just joined Instagram, I think, at that point,
Yeah, right.
And he put up a photo on the bridge walk.
He did the bridge walk.
And you know what? You know what? It made me think. I remember doing that bridge walk.
Yeah.
And they give you them blue and grey jumpsuits, don't they?
Yeah, all zipped up, so you can't lose anything.
Yeah, and I remember looking at myself thinking, I look a bit shit in this jumpsuit. And then I seen Klopp and he looked shit in the jumpsuit, and I thought, it's everyone. It's not just me, Yoz. It's not just me. We were talking about the supporters club there, and I think when we'll talk about the supporters club, and then we'll talk about that pilgrimage, if you like, that you made to go and watch the Reds lift the title.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're really involved in the supporters club up in Queensland. You said you've got 3,000 members. Tell us a little bit about the event that you've got coming on up there, mate, because you've got quite a big event coming up.
Well, the aim of the supporters club is to give the Reds fans as events and activities to help them, you know, enjoy the support of Liverpool that they can, to give them as much as we can, really. So that generally means putting on events like match nights, etc. And we do this throughout the season. We're all volunteers. I've been on the committee a few years. It's a fair amount of work, but we get a lot of pleasure out of it, because, you know, we can have 200 people down in the pub in Brisbane on a Saturday night watching the midday kickoff back in the UK. And it just gives people the opportunity to come out, meet new people, meet friends, join with other Liverpool supporters, and just have a great old time. You know, like going to match as you might have done. And we get all kinds coming. We get residents of Brisbane and other parts of Queensland. We get visitors, people on their holidays who are just coming into the city for a couple of days, and they know Liverpool's playing that weekend, and they're going, where can I see the game? Where can I see the game? So join the Facebook page, and we'll show you, where it's on. So obviously we would have had the last game of the season on live down in Brisbane. And we've got an end of season party coming up on the 28th of June, so a Saturday afternoon, in the Stock Exchange pub in Brisbane. So we're going to have games for the kids and competitions, giveaways, prizes, raffles. We bought a replica Premier League trophy.
I've seen this.
It looks the business. I haven't actually held it myself, but it's metal apparently. It's almost the same as the actual trophy itself. So we'll have
Yeah.
to keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't walk anywhere. But we're going to do, the trophy
Hopefully.
lifts, and we're going to do photographs to get the kids coming in and seeing, who can do the best trophy lift, perhaps, and stuff like that. So it's going to be a good event. So that's on Saturday, the 28th of June in the afternoon at the Stock
Yeah.
Exchange. So have a look at the Facebook page, OLSC Queensland, and we'll give you an update on what's going on and when it all starts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Have a look at that, and if you are interested at all in joining your supporters club, your local club, where's the best place to have a look at that, Jed?
Okay, well, the memberships will be open again for the following season, sometime towards the end of June. olscqueensland.au is the website, and that will give you the ability to go and join online. Click, just a few clicks, and you'll become a member.
Yeah, easy as
E-
peasy.
easy
I'm gonna
peasy.
join this. I'm gonna join the supporters club this year. Even though I'm based in Sydney,
Doesn't matter.
I'm thinking about joining the Newcastle club
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
because Max is in the Newcastle club
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
goes up there all the time. So I'm actually thinking about joining that one.
yeah,
Gives me an excuse to go and have a jolly in Newcastle.
yeah.
If Max's missus doesn't mind me staying on the couch. All right, before we talk about this trophy lift and trophy parade, mate, because there's loads to talk about, just a reminder that we are giving away this. It's a 2008-2009 signed Liverpool home shirt by Gerard Torres, Mascherano and Jamie Carragher. It's a beauty, innit, Jed?
It absolutely is. Yeah, it looks the part. Yeah.
It's a cracker. It's genuine, Jed. It's I haven't done the signatures myself. So if you want to win this, go to our Instagram page, go to the top of our pinned posts, have a look at that, tag 3 Reds, put it on your story and tag us and give us a follow to enter, and we'll be giving that away on the 23rd of June. All right, mate, let's talk about it then. You went back to watch the Reds win the Premier League. First question, did you get your tickets through the supporters club?
No, I got a hospitality ticket. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
All right, well, let's talk about this hospitality ticket because I forgot about this until you just mentioned it. The hospitality ticket, mate, sounds like an absolute Reds dream.
yeah.
Tell us about the event that you had with the ex-players.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of once in a lifetime pinch yourself moments. And I was in two minds of whether to go for it, but big shout out to the wife, Claire. She heard about it. I told her about it, and she said, "100%, you've got to do this. You'll never you'll regret it if you don't do it." So I went and put my name down, and as it happened at the time, it was already oversubscribed. There was only 40 tickets available, and so anyway, they said we'll put you on a standby list, and I forgot about it. Then a couple of weeks later, I got an email from LFC saying there's been a cancellation. Do you want to join it? So I went, yeah, definitely. So it involved it was basically a 3-day event where not only did you get a ticket to the Palace game, but also the day after you were given the opportunity to play in an 11-a-side game at Anfield, with all the the usual bells and whistles like the football kit, the changing rooms, managed by one of two legends, as it happened, Gary Mac or Phil Thompson. So you were allocated to one of their teams. And day one was the Saturday before the Palace game. We checked into the hotel. They gave us a kit bag, and in the kit bag we got the complete home strip and the training kit. And an hour later, we got on the bus and they took us to the AXA training centre. where we met Gary and Phil and some of the academy training staff, and they basically put us through our paces. Give us a little bit of warm up, some ball control,
Yeah.
sort of advice and skills, some shooting practice, and an eight-a-side game or several eight-a-side games. So basically,
Who did the shooting practice? It wasn't Darwin Núñez, was it?
No, he wasn't around, but yeah, we were trying to be a little bit better than he was. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a crazy sort of day. I mean, we were on the bus going into the AXA, looking around, and we were being treated like we were the players. We got off the
Yeah,
bus.
great.
They had a videographer and cameramen taking pictures of us while we were putting through our paces on the training field, and we're just looking around as if to say, "Geez, I can't believe this. It's amazing." So we got that. Then we got bused back to the hotel. The next day we had the usual hospitality where they bus you to the ground and we watch the game. And we'll come on to the game later, I'm sure. But the next step was the following day where we got up early in the morning and they bused us to Anfield, and we went like players through the tunnel where the bus usually goes. Unfortunately, we didn't have all the crowds around us, but there was a few people around looking at the bus as if to say, "Who are these people on the bus here?" So the security took us inside.
Yeah, nice.
They checked our bags and they let us through. And we went into the two changing rooms, the home and away changing rooms, where we were given our instructions by Macca and Tomo. We got changed, and we walked out onto the Anfield pitch the day after the Palace game. And amazingly, they played "You'll Never Walk Alone" as we were walking out, and we lined up. They had English FA referee and linesman, and the scoreboard, and they had our names scrolling through on the advertising hoardings around the ground. And
I love
we
it.
played an 11-a-side game, and I don't remember much about it, to be honest, because it was a hell of a job trying to keep pace with what was going on. The ball was just flying around everywhere, and I mean, I haven't played football properly for 20 years, mate, honestly. And
Yeah.
I'm
How was the old knees, Jed?
yeah,
The day after?
they're absolutely stiff as a board, mate. 100%. The legs were just like two planks of wood. You gotta give it to the players, the professionals. I mean, when you get on the pitch, that pitch is absolutely massive from one end to the other, and yet these guys play 90 minutes every 3 days. They've got to be elite athletes to compete
Yeah.
at that pace.
They're absolute machines, aren't they?
They've got to be.
They're absolute
Absolutely
machines.
got to be. And you've got to give it to them how they can do that. Because, after,
So let's.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh no, mate. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. But yeah, I played a game last year, just an 11-a-side game, and I was really struggling. I
Yeah.
was really blowing it, and I haven't played for a couple of years, and I'm
Yeah.
only 34. But
yeah.
yeah, it was
I
it was a bit of toil.
I think what happens is the adrenaline kicks in, and
Yeah.
you don't slow down and think, and you don't stop, and yet you see the players, the professionals, they can do that. They can slow the game down. They can put their foot on the ball. They can look around. But when you're in that situation where you're on the pitch there, you can't stop yourself. You're just going at it like 90 miles an hour, and you just can't stop
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Hence, we were all absolutely knackered. It was only 30 minutes each way, but we were absolutely blowing after 5 minutes each.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. So let's talk about the day before then, because I think you said you played that game early in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was about 7 o'clock in the morning. In order to fit in the trophy parade later for all the Anfield staff, etc., they had to get us out of the
Yeah.
way.
So I have to say, mate, well done, because there's no way I would have got up at 7 a.m. There's no way in a million years. Like, even if someone said to me, but Tom, you've got to go to bed because tomorrow you're playing for Phil Thompson and Gary Mac
Yeah.
at Anfield.
Yeah.
They're going to play You Never Walk Alone. I'd be like, whatever. I'll be on the ale. But let's talk about that day then, mate, because like for so many fans in Australia, we watched on, and we all did different things. Some of us were with the supporters clubs. We were in Cheers Bar. People all over the country doing different stuff. Like, honestly, like, how would you describe being in that stadium that day from the moment you got there?
Well, we knew what was coming. We knew the trophy lift was coming. So it was party city from the word go. I mean, the football really just took a bit of a back seat. No one seemed to be really watching the game. It was just singing all the time, and Palace took the lead, and nobody was bothered. No,
Yeah.
it was so what, it is what it is. I mean, the first thing that sort of I remember was that double guard of honor that they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knew about that. Apparently, that was all kept fairly close to the players, and they decided that's what they were going to do. So nobody in the crowd really knew about that, but it was, I think, absolute class from Liverpool to do that for Palace. That really went down really well. And then the game, of course, it just, as I say, nobody was really too bothered about the score or the result. They just wanted to go through all the songs and all the singing. And but fortunately, I think at the end where Salah scored a goal, that really kicked it all off, because he deserved that. He hadn't scored for a couple of games, and he was trying to get that one goal, wasn't he, in order to match Thierry Henry's record, and you could tell his relief when he got that. He was completely. That was what he was been working for about 3 or 4 games. I can't remember the last time he scored or assisted, but it was a bit of a drought there, wasn't there? And to get that, with just 5 minutes to go on the day, that just put the icing on the cake and set the seal for party to begin. And it did. It went off at that point. It absolutely went off.
It was like the moments where they just had a barrel full of like energy, and they just took the lid off.
Yeah.
And everyone just went, that's what we're
That's
done,
what we were waiting for.
We were the same in the pub, because we were all, I talked about it on last week's podcast, but I wanted us to win. I wanted Salah to score, obviously, and I think. But when he scored late on, it was like, all right, now we can sort of just go and do it. So, I mean, you must have just had like 60,000 best mates all day. In the stadium.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone must have just been everyone's best mate.
Everyone had big smiles on their faces and hugging each other and singing. The whole ground was singing. Every corner of the ground was singing. And as soon as Salah scored, it just kicked off. It was great. What an afternoon. And again, everybody, you kind of knew this was just like the continuation of all the partying that had been going on for about 4 weeks since the Tottenham game. And then apparently the away game at Brighton was the best away game that people have been to for support.
Yeah.
I said it just rolled on. So this was just another event, and then people realised, well, they've got the trophy lift to come in the next, half an hour or whatever, and then tomorrow we're going to do it all again with the parade.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was just like all the Christmases you've ever had has just all come at once.
Yeah. So I've had like an unfortunate Liverpool fan experience, if you like, at times. So, I wasn't in Istanbul, but I seen the trophy parade. Then I went to Kiev, and obviously we lost. I was in the stadium. Then I went to Spain, Madrid, for the final, but didn't have a ticket. So I missed the trophy parade, so I never got to do that. And then I moved to Australia, it was COVID, we didn't do a trophy parade. What's it like seeing that Premier League trophy with them red ribbons and Liverpool players run around the pitch with it? Because I can only imagine what it's like being there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the whole experience was out of this world, and to see all the four sides of the ground celebrating, and to see the players and what that meant to the players. They obviously had a long, hard season. There wasn't, the depth of squad wasn't that big, so some players played every game, like Gravenberch, Salah, Van Dijk. They you could tell they'd put a lot of effort in, and they were just now able to just go, it's all been worth it, and this is what we've got for it. And it was time to basically let yourself go and celebrate.
Yeah, and I tell you what, mate, it looked like they did, didn't it?
They did.
The trophy parade. Did you go into the city for that? Like, where did you go for the parade?
Yeah. Well, we so there was about 20 people from Queensland that I was aware of that was in and around the city. And one of the lads, Paul Hughes, he had got himself an apartment on the Strand many months ago.
Oh, yeah.
He booked it
Yeah.
months earlier. And when he got there a couple of days before and checked in, he looked at what he'd got and he couldn't believe his eyes. There was like about a corner window and 5 windows onto the Strand on about level 6. So he sent a video round of before the actual parade. A couple of days before, he said, "Look where I am," and I went, "Mate, I'm coming to your place."
Yeah, we're all going to you, Jose, we're on our way, mate.
Yeah. I mean,
no doubt.
He just struck lucky there. So that's where I ended up. I ended up with him, and we were watching it on my laptop on the LFC TV, so we could see it all unfolding in front of us from 2 o'clock onwards. And the crowds around Queen's Drive and the whole tour, and all the buses.
Yeah.
And we could just see it building and building. And as we were watching it, we could see the Strand getting busier and busier and busier. And they were just all going off right in front of us because they were doing all the Arnie Slot jumps and moves. And I think Klopp had an apartment across the way because there was a load of people underneath his apartment all waving at him and singing under his window. And I saw some footage later on.
Yeah, I think Klopp was over there because I think Max, who's in the Newcastle group up there, the official group, he was on your side of the Strand, and he sent me a video of Klopp on the other side. So I think he was on the other side of the road, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, mate. Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable.
Was he
1.5 million people, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was he in the crowd itself? Or was he in an apartment?
No, I think he was in an apartment.
Yeah.
On the Strand, yeah. Or travel lodge or something, one of the hotels.
Yeah. Some people struck lucky with that. and we were across from the Albert Dock, so we could see what was going on around by the in the water there. They even had police divers in boats waiting for people to if they jumped in by mistake or just fell in or whatever. There was it was amazing. Everything was mad that day. Completely crazy.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
Yeah.
I seen they lit up the Albert Dock. You know, we've got the Walk of Champions.
Yeah, all in
With the
red.
trophies on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
brilliant.
great. Yeah, they really know how to do a
Absolutely
party. Do Liverpool City, don't they? They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? My missus, Chelsea, she's from Canberra. And we were watching bits of it, you know, and she said, like, no one else would do it like that, would they?
No.
And I was like, no, like, it is Liverpool.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Man City won the treble the other year, and 20,000 people turned up or something shit, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, no one does it like Liverpool.
I think they said it was the biggest ever parade in the country, ever.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 1 million people on the street.
And like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, to be honest. I was just half hoping that they were going to have a second bus, and the second bus was going to have the 2020 team on. Jordan Henderson and Wijnaldum and all that.
I thought that might have been a good shout, actually, because put Klopp on that bus with any of the players that won the 2020 Premier League but didn't have the chance to do the tour, the bus tour. That would have been a nice touch, but I don't know. You know, it would have been good.
It would have been good. It would have been good. And you were, I mean, you know, we won't go too much into this. We talked about it on last week's podcast, but with the car incident that happened, because you were in the apartment, did you get a sense of what was going on at all?
Yeah. We definitely saw something going on, because once the buses had gone past, and that was near to the end of the route, then 5 minutes later we saw police cars travelling in the opposite direction back from where the buses came. I thought, or maybe they're all just getting out of there, you know, on their way back, whatever. But the blue lights were on, flashing lights, and then the next minute, police were actually running down the street. I'm talking, you know, you saw how many police there were around the buses and that. Well, all those police must have been told, get back to Water Street. There's an incident, and they've obviously the buses have gone, and now they're heading back, and they were physically running back down the Strand. So we'd seen some activity, and we thought, well, hopefully nothing major's happened, but it turned out to be something significant, and eventually we got something on the news. But once we saw these police all heading back down from where they came, we thought something's happening here, unfortunately. But I can only just say, thank God, nobody died. And let's hope that anybody who's affected has been able to start their recuperation and trying to put some normality back in their lives. It was a big blight on the day, unfortunately, and it stopped a lot of sort of social media focus on the parade, unfortunately. But it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got plenty of time to enjoy it, haven't we?
Absolutely.
You know, I think a lot of people, as you say, went really quiet. We put up we had a conversation last week, me brother Jack and I, about who our player of the season would be. Obviously Mo Salah was going to be right up there. We both put a case forward for Macher and Van Dijk. Is there any players in particular that stood out to you, mate, and who had significant years?
Well, I think Gravenberch takes a lot of plaudits for, he played virtually every minute. They stood him down, I think, when in the last but one game. I might be right,
Yeah, I
but
think
but
so.
but
I think in the last 5 games, I think he played 3 maybe.
yeah. But in all the big games, in all the games leading up to when we'd won it, he played every minute. Compare that to the previous season where he was in and out and he wasn't really delivering anything out of this world, or he was doing okay, but suddenly Klopp has got a tune out of this guy and he has been a revelation. So if it's not Maka, I think there's a big case for Maka, because I think Maka is a bit of an unsung hero. I think the way he goes about his job has helped Gravenberch do his job to the standards that he's achieved. But if not Maka, then for me it's Gravenberch. Between the two, I can't split the two. I think Maka plays a big part because of the way he sits in there. He's an unsung hero. He's very efficient with the ball. He's an absolute machine in terms of activity. Always recycling it. It's always unhurried. Technically he's brilliant. So I think the way he operates allows the rest of that midfield to do their job to their at best of their ability as well. So I think I look to Maka to be given the plaudits there. But if you want to come away from Maka, Gravenberch is a close run thing. That's my view.
Yeah, we were sort of when we stopped recording the podcast last week, Jack and I carried on talking about it, and we talked more about Gravenberch than what we did on the podcast, because I think on the podcast he sort of got like an honourable mention.
Yeah.
Can't talk.
And he's only 22, isn't he? I think he's only 22.
He's a kid.
He's a kid,
He's a baby,
and to perform that whole season the way he did in a championship winning team, it's just unbelievable, really, how he's progressed, and that's got to be down to Slot and the way he's used him, because Klopp had him, and he didn't get the best out of him, and then obviously Zubamendi didn't come on the scene like they'd hoped, and they must have gone, okay, well, we're going to work with what we've got. How can we use what we've got the way we need him? And he's obviously got the vote to be that City number 6. And I think as well, in that right holding midfielder position, under Klopp, Trent would have been bombing on. You know what I mean? Trent would have been bombing on. Kanate would have been essentially playing like a right back, coming across and stuff. So Gravenberch in that time, and anyone who played in that position, was always really busy. But the way Slot plays, he plays the holding midfielders a bit tighter, and Trent wasn't going high up the park as much as possible. And I think it just allowed Gravenberch to do the simple stuff really well. We posed the questions to social media to see what Reds Down Under supporters voted for. So we could have put up everyone as an option to vote for, but I put up the 4 players who I thought had the biggest effect. Alisson Becker got 4% of your votes. Virgil van Dijk, the club captain, got 9%. McAllister got 11%, and Mo Salah got 76%. So, I mean, Mo's always going to win it, wasn't he? He is, yeah.
But
should have taken him out.
Congratulations, Mo Salah. But yeah, I mean, if you take Mo out, it's starting to look really. See this thumb graphic that keeps popping up? I don't know how to get rid of it, but it keeps popping up. So it was a close run thing on that one.
And that's the spine of the team, isn't it? You've got Alisson, you've got Van Dijk, and you've got Gravenberch. They're the three key players that sort of hold that team together. And of course, you can't take Mo away from his goal scoring and his assist activity as well. So it's understandable that those four players, got the votes.
Definitely, they were brilliant, and as you say, Kanate could have been in there, Gravenberch could have been in there. You know what I mean? There's a whole host of players who played really important seasons, and Szoboszlai really ended the season strong. Last week we started a new feature on the podcast, and it's called It's a Fact, and it's named after 2005 Champions League winning manager Rafa Benitez. And it's a useless fact that you will almost certainly forget instantly. And here's the fact. The club nearly changed its name in the 1930s when Everton moved out of Anfield. In 1892, Liverpool FC was born. But decades later, in an attempt to strengthen links with the city, there was a bizarre proposal to rename the club Liverpool City FC. But thankfully, the name was scrapped. So there you go. That was It's a Fact. Jed, I mean, you knew that?
I never knew that, no. That's a new one on me.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. We'll have that. You didn't know something. That's good. But now you do. Jed, before we move on to transfers very quickly, mate, I wanted to ask you, is your name Steven Gerrard?
Oh, okay, yeah, I know where you're going with this. So, I was christened Gerard Lunny, and my middle name is Stephen. Of course, Gerard is like in Australia, same as in the UK. You get your nickname or you get your name shortened, one or the other. So when you're playing football out in the backyard with the lads and on the footy field, you got to have a quick name, haven't you? So I got Ged. So I've forever been known as Ged since I was about 10. So but now my real name or my full name is Gerard Stephen Lunny. So I'm the original Stephen Gerrard. And way before even the Stephen Gerrard was born, because I was born in the 60s and he was probably born in the 80s. So I am the first Stephen Gerrard. Yeah,
and you know what, Jed, you're the better of the two, I think. Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna advertise this podcast that we interviewed Steven Gerrard.
Steven Gerrard, yeah. And
crack the views a little bit,
Yeah. And the other funny thing is that when I joined the supporters club here, they named me the Scouser in the team.
That's nice. Well, don't be leaving us to go and sign for Real Madrid, right? Talking of signings, Liverpool have made a signing this week. Young goalkeeper Pexi, who was on the Golden Boy Award shortlist, wasn't he?
Is he a Hungarian?
He signed. Another Hungarian, we're building the Hungarians up.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we can get Kerkez in.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be the third.
Yeah, and as they always say, it's really important to have players who are hungry. So obviously, hopefully we sign Kerkez. Verts, we've been talking about week in, week out. Mate, that one, is a big fingers crossed. I think it's going to happen, isn't it?
It looks like it's a case of just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Verts obviously has said he wants to play for Liverpool and nobody else. Leverkusen have got a figure that they want, and Liverpool are not quite in the same ballpark, but it's not far off. So you would think between the three parties, they're going to be able to come to an agreement very soon. You wonder what's really holding it up.
Yeah.
It would. I'm sure for the players' benefit, it would be nice for both clubs to get this sorted out so that the lad can go on holiday, knowing what's going to
Yeah.
happen. That he's got his new club, he's got his new contract, and he can start to plan his new life. If you send him off on holiday and you still haven't agreed the contract or whatever, you still, the two clubs are still talking, and it could drag on for another couple of weeks. It's not really fair, is it? So you would think the two clubs would just sort it out. I'm sure they will. I'm sure it's just, dotting I's and crossing T's. But I think, the poor lad in the middle of all this is probably hoping that he gets what he wants and it happens quickly so that he can, have a nice holiday, get himself organised, start to plan his new life, go on holiday, and then come back ready to go pre-season in 4 weeks' time or whatever it is. It's not long, is it?
Yeah, no, he's not gonna get long at all, is he? And I think you're right. I think to be honest, I just want to get it wrapped up because the longer these things go on, the more complicated things can get, and maybe another club enters the race, or I don't know, but yeah, I think we've got to get it done. And the club have said goodbye to Kelleher as well. Apparently up to £18 million we're going to get for him. He's been a great servant, hasn't he, Jed?
100%. The best compliment you can give him is that I don't think any Liverpool fan, when they see the team sheet with Keller on it, they don't worry that they're getting a second-rate keeper in between the sticks. He's like Alisson, but slightly different. He's got different attributes, but he's proved himself to be the best number two there is. And
absolutely.
If it wasn't for Alisson, he might be our number one because he's acquitted himself so well, hasn't he? So well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the whole skill set for me.
Yeah.
He's good with his feet. I know he had a bit of a palaver against Newcastle where he came for the ball and never got it in the league, but he's good with the ball coming into the box.
Yeah.
He's got the whole package. It's tough for him because, and it's a great thing for Liverpool because when I grew up, we had good number ones. Pepe Reina was probably the closest to being a great number one that could play for anyone in the world, really. And then we got Alisson Becker, and he is the best. So for Kelleher to rise above Alisson is always going to be almost impossible for him. And we've got Mamadashvili coming in as well. So he's expected to challenge Alisson. So
and he's.
But look, Jed, go on.
I was just going to say he's a perfect number two. He hasn't complained. He hasn't whinged. He hasn't gone knocking on the manager's door demanding this and demanding that. He's just got on with it. He's learned his trade. He's probably set himself up now to be Brentford's number one, and good luck to him. And he's going to have the biggest ovation when he comes onto the field at Anfield this coming season. Liverpool have always been a great supporting group to welcome keepers from the opposing sides. Remember, every keeper that comes to Anfield, they get a round of applause when they come into the Kop end. He'll get the biggest one ever, like Clements would have done when he came back when he played for Spurs. That's
absolutely.
The biggest compliment you can give him.
Yeah, he's played a really important part in the last 5 years or so of the football club, and he'll get to go off into the distance now. Whether he'll go and win another major trophy now, who knows? Because it can be funny for goalkeepers, can't it? Because they go for first team football and they drop down a level. So it's going to be difficult, especially now with Thomas Frank. Looks like he's moving to Tottenham. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind everyone yet again that we are giving away this 2008-2009 signed Liverpool home shirt by Jamie Carragher, Javier Mascherano, who else is on there? Steven Gerrard and El Nino Fernando Torres. It's a perfect thing to have in your house as a Red. And trust me, it's been in my house the last couple of weeks and I've loved it. If you want to enter, go on our Instagram feed, go on the post at the top, you'll see it. Tag 3 Reds that you know. Give us a follow and share the post to your story. And if you can't work that out, just screenshot it and then add it to your story. Some people have struggled with the sharing to post.
When are you drawing that, mate?
Fine.
When are you drawing that?
23rd of June.
23rd.
We'll be doing it live. We're going to do it on Instagram Live, which I've never done Instagram Live before, but we're going to do it.
Okay, look forward to it.
And then what we'll do is we'll draw one. And then we'll draw 2 backup ones. So in case we can't, for whatever reason, get through to the winner, which I'm sure we will. So we'll have them 2 people. Jed, mate, I'd love to have you back on another time to talk about those sort of early days of being a Red. Because I'm fascinated to learn more about the Paisley, Fagan, Dalglish, that sort of period. I'd love to do that, mate.
Let's do that.
Was it okay for you? You didn't hate it too much?
No,
was it all right?
No, you were a perfect gentleman, mate, for this Virgin. Perfect gentleman.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment. Jed, mate, thanks so much for coming on. You're always welcome back on, mate. Thanks so much for coming and chatting to me about the Reds. We will be continuing making more podcasts.
Mate,
even though the Reds...
It's amazing what you've done. Just commend you for your work. It's been great and for you to look after a group of Reds fans across Australia. It's been sorely missed over the years, so great to see you starting that off. And it's what did you say? You're getting 1,000 views on every podcast at the moment, and hopefully that will grow for you. So I wish you well, mate. You're doing a great job.
Oh, Jed. Don't be saying stuff like that. You'll embarrass me on the podcast. No, look, thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much to everyone at home or on the ferry or on the bus or wherever you're at for joining Reds Down Under the weekly show this week. We've got loads of content on Instagram and Facebook, so have a jump on there and have a look at that. We'll do cut downs of podcast episodes. We'll be doing street interviews. We've got loads of stuff coming up on that as well, so do have a look at that. The Reds are on a break, but we continue on Reds Down Under right up until the start of the new season, so please do keep watching. Jed, have a cracking night, mate, and I'll see you later, and Reds, I'll see you next week.
What a time to be a Red. All the best, mate.
Up the Reds, mate.
Up the Reds.
See you, mate.
All the best. Bye.
Ta-ra, mate.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.